Good morning, Palom Road. Well, you can tell I'm not outside today. I'm here at the office. And so let's get to it. It's been a while since I've taken a question from an email. So today we're going to go to the email bag. Pastor, it's not a bother to me that you use notes, but is this your usual practice? Also, there are plenty of ministers who don't use notes. Why is that? Well, this is a long answer. I've written out 97% of everything I have presented in 30 some years of doing this. So it's my usual practice to write everything out. Now, some pastors, he's right, don't preach with notes at all. They preach without notes. And some of these folks have great memories. And others of them, I think, really just kind of preach a long time. And I mean, they preach for 40 or 45 minutes and they repeat themselves a lot because they don't have notes and they just kind of have an idea of what they're trying to get to. And so if they don't bump into it the first time around, they go around the track again. And the second time they bump into it. And that's part of it. So part of the answer then is some people do have great memories. And then other people just preach a long time. But in this day, right now, 2020, some ministers actually are using teleprompters. And others actually will use a projector that will throw the image of your sermon notes on a wall behind the congregation, and they can just kind of read off the wall. It'd be that big. So it don't look like they use notes, but they do. I've been told by somebody that I trust. Now, I'm not going to name names, of course, but they live with me. That when I get off my notes, I become a bit dangerous. So that's kind of why I stay on my notes. If I was to ask you, does God control things? What would you say? Just think about it. Now, let's start with an easier question, though. If I was to ask you, do you control things? What would you say? Well, let's say that you said, well, yeah, I control some things, at least some things that are in my life. Okay, I can get it. You can't take responsibility for your spouse, and you don't take responsibility for your 21-year-old daughter, but you will say, I can control my life. Well, let's say your company lays you off. How'd you let that happen? I thought you were in control. I mean, think about it. Think about how little you really control. Does that mean any control, yours, mine, or God's, is an illusion? It actually probably means we don't know what control is in a world like that we live in. Let's just go back. We bring the baby home. Who controls when this baby wakes up? Or poops? Or gets hungry? You don't. That they get older. Who controls who they talk to at school? Who controls if they excel at math or at literature or dance or don't? You don't control it. Let's say they become teenagers. Who controls when they wake up or get hungry? And then they get older. Who controls where they decide to live after they leave your house and work? Well, you don't. And these are your kids. You brought them into this world. In a world where we are free, even free to make bad choices, what do we mean when we say control? When people say to me, God is in control, I have to shake my head. I'd like to believe that. But remember, we live in a free world where we're all free to make bad choices. And God made us free. Now, I can go as far as Jesus, but I can't go any further. And here's what I mean. In the Lord's Prayer, Jesus teaches us to pray, "Lead us not into temptation." While I happen to think control is a really strong word that's maybe hard to define, I think lead is a different word. Lead implies God can if we will. Yet, in this world, some people are led by power, others are led by greed, and still others are led by ambition. The list really is endless. But I have no doubt if God were leading us and we were all following this leadership, the world would be in a better place. I'll say that again. I have no doubt if God were leading us and all of us were following this leadership in the world would be a much better place. But I'm afraid I'm a realist. Control, I just don't see it. But I'll joyfully pray, lead us not into temptation, and hope and pray that I will follow God's leadership. Have a great day.